G'day guys, goeiedag, hoe gaan dit? My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment and subscribe. And yes, it is always my pleasure and privilege to talk about the greatest game in the world, rugby. And this weekend, we are given the privilege to witness the number one team in the world versus definitely not the number one team in the world. And what a treat we're going to be having this weekend. Unfortunately for the Irish going into this match, a number of injuries occurred following last week's brutal match in Pretoria. Andy Farrow has to make a few changes as a result of that. And there were also a bit of a strategic change from Andy Farrow as well, putting an extra lock in the sense of Ty Byrne in that blindside flanker position, dropping the badge, Peter Amani, to the bench. So that is a clear shift of how the Irish wanted to play, maybe having a bit more size in the scrummaging, bit more pressure at the breakdown with the sizing. And so we'll have to see how that's going to pay out for the Ireland team. And for the Springboks, they have the fortunate result of not having anybody injured from last week. So Rassie Rasmus actually delivered the exact same team as they did last week's match. And I guess the coaches will be looking for consistency, will be looking for a step up from last week's potentially a little bit of clunky performance, especially from Andrew Pollard. It's just some of the things that really need to be cleaned up in terms of team. But in terms of strategy, I think the Springboks are probably pretty happy with the way that he turned out against the Irish. And, it's just I think that they could have probably had a bit more score on the scoreboard if it weren't for those mistakes and those missed goal kicks. So yeah, the big one news came out of the camp is the fact that Bangdi Aki is not able to play due to a shoulder injury. So McCloskey has been moved to the bench, and Gary Ringrose and Gary Ringrose has moved from the bench to the starting position, and we'll have a look at it. Yeah, and Robbie Henshaw is moved to 12. So this is actually a typical combination that Ireland likes to play for a while anyway, and they found a lot of success in that combination as well. So this is by no way, shape, or form a weaker central combination for the Irish. And it's definitely a big loss, but I don't foresee to be too much of an issue for the Ireland overall strategy. Whereas on the other hand, from the 9 position, Ireland, without Johnny Sexton, a lot of that playmaking comes out of the 9 position. Initially from Jameson Gibson Park, and he's been injured now. Craig Casey as well was in last week due for his speed and quick deliveries from around the rocks. He is injured last week due to that really unfortunate tackle, hitting himself in the back of the head from Achilles Neyman. But the replacement is Conor Murray, who is a veteran of the sport, but is much slower around the breakdowns. So we have to see how that's going to affect the overall flow of the style that Ireland likes to play. The likes to kind of use that speed to get over the advantage line and quick balls to try to punch through your defense. And without that quick ball, a lot of that strategy just simply fall apart. So we'll have to see how much of an effect that's going to be. But it's definitely going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the Irish this weekend. This game we already mentioned, it's going to be played in Durban. Always sunny in South Africa. Why do I even bother looking? By the way, it's 25 degrees in South Africa. It's winter, right? Why is it 25 degrees in winter in South Africa? It's beyond me. It must be global warming. And just so everybody know where Durban is, it's right here, right? I actually didn't know where Durban was. I thought Johannesburg was somewhere here. I thought Cape Town was where Port Elizabeth is, and I thought Port Elizabeth where Cape Town is. So, news to me. Apparently Johannesburg and Pretoria was right next to each other, and Bloemfontein is somewhere in the middle. I had no idea. So yeah, everybody learned something today where Durban actually is. So always learn something new every day. So the referee this weekend is another Englishman, Carl Dixon. He actually got a lot better in terms of refereeing. I thought his refereeing was very, much improved at the Rugby World Cup. He was used to be very easy to blow those whistle, very whistle happy in the past, and really not able to find proper reasoning, just go with the yellow cards all the time. But nowadays he actually has a much better reasoning behind the way that he issues yellow cards, the way that he adjudicates the especially those more controversial issues when it comes to sending players off the field. And I really like the way that he's improved on that front, and really not getting really backing himself on his own judgment, and not just easily issue out yellow cards like business cards like he used to do. right? So with that being said, let's have a look at the lineup. Let's have a look at exactly who's up against who between the two teams. Oh, another big injury from the Irish as well is the hooker. Dan Sheehan is out. So Ronan Keller moves from the bench up to the starting position. So here's the lineup for the Stronger team. Ox Incha, Boging Bunabi, and Franz Malherba comes in number 3. Andrew Porter, Ronan Keller, and Ty Furlong are the 3 opposite number. So Andrew Porter was really, really good last week against Franz Malherba. The dark cards, whatever you like to call it, I thought he was pulling the scrum down, and there was a bit of a wobble up and down. But whatever he said, it worked, and he got away with it. And he was putting a lot of pressure under Franz Malherba. And we'll have to see a much better performance out of France this weekend. I think, obviously the scrum coaches will be working over that over the weekend. And the scrum got a lot better in the second half once Vinnie Koch came onto the field. Clearly something that had been addressed at halftime, and they actually led to a big dominant scrum try later in the second half as well. So definitely they will have looked into that and look at how to deal with it. And I think that they shouldn't. We'll have to see how this is going to turn out, if that's going to be another plaguing issue or not this weekend. Ox Incha, number 1, interestingly, was not that dominant in the starting position. This is something that I've talked about for a very long time. One of the key reasons why Incha is really, really effective coming off the bench is the fact that he's really low center of gravity. He's really short. He's like 173 centimeters tall. But by the way, I don't have time to do the stats anymore because I just got work. I just don't have time to do it. But I apologize. I can't do put the stats up for all these players. But Incha is actually quite short. And when you come on in the second half against tired bodies, just making the opposition bend down a little bit lower, it's a massive, massive ask. And a lot of teams gets caught off guard by that because they're used to, bending over, squatting down in the same height, and suddenly someone comes on and it's like, this much shorter than you, which means you have to bend down this much further, and they're just not able to adjust and leading immediately into scrum penalties. So that was the big advantage of having Incha coming off the bench. But he really, wasn't that dominant, to be honest. So I was actually surprised they didn't just put him back onto the bench as a result of that. Anyway, let's moving forward. So the coming into the lock position now, Eben Etzebeth coming number 4, Frank Mostert unchanged for the Springboks, Joe McCarthy number 4, James Ryan has been moved up from the bench, with Ty Byrne moving to the blindside flanker position. This has been an ongoing theme for a lot of the teams, especially Eddie Jones was to copy this sort of stuff from the Springboks, just to have an extra lock in that blindside position, just to add more weight to the scrum. And we'll see if this is going to work. Ty Byrne is really, really good at the breakdown. He's no slouch when it comes to turning over balls and playing as he's a legitimate blindside flanker option. So it is going to see how this is going to pay out for the Irish team. They definitely had a discussion about this behind the scenes, and this is I think it's actually quite a smart decision for them. Sian Khaleesi coming number 6 in the open side position. Peter Sip Dutoy number 7, great defensive style. Josh van der Fleer is more of a traditional style open side flanker for the Ireland. Coming up on number 8, Huaga Smith and Caelan Doris. It was interesting to see that Huaga Smith missed 2 catches from under the high ball last week. It's something that you don't really expect to do in the flanker position. And as number 8, especially for the Springboks, you are expected to catch the high ball quite a bit more. And Ireland obviously did their homework, targeted him from the kickoff a number of times, and it paid off immediately. So hopefully he will be able to catch those balls this weekend and really show that it was just a bit of a fluke last week. So anyway, let's move on to the bench. Faf de Klerk up against Conor Murray, 2 veterans against each other. I don't know, they played against each other a number of times in their careers, and this will be interesting because Conor Murray, like I already mentioned, is a little bit slower at the breakdowns, and we have to see how that's going to affect the game, the team. This basically means that out of the 10 jersey, Henry Pollard and Jack Crowley will have to be more active in terms of being a playmaker, and do probably have to take more of that leadership role in terms of directing how the game wants to be played. Henry Pollard last week was again down to his, average kicking outside the World Cup cycles. So really want to see that he's gonna much improvement. In fact, if we know Henry Pollard, he normally goes 60%, 100%, 60%, 100%, and between the World Cups, which averages him out about 70-something%. So if we know 100 Pollard, he's probably going to be 100% this weekend. Just saying, right? So anyway, we'll see. Anyway, the In the back line now, Cody Alonso, number 11. James Lowe, number 11 as well. James Lowe is one of those players. He had he had a couple of big mistakes last week, but overall, he's just really the most dangerous guy in the Irish side. The way he's able to just run through defense like nobody's even there, it's quite incredible. And we'll have to see if he just like tidy up some of those silly mistakes. It definitely could go the other way for the Irish side. And coming number 12 now, Damien de Linda and Jesse Krill, two trialed, successful combinations for the Springboks. Another huge performance last week from both of them as well, defensively, especially defensively. For Ireland, already talked about what Robbie Henshaw moved from 13 to 12, Gary Ringrose up to the 13 jersey. These two guys, I'm pretty sure they won the Grand Slam with this combination without Bundy Aki. So this is absolutely a very, very potent setup for the Irish side. So we'll have to see how that's going to match up. Both players are probably a bit more agile than Bundy Aki and maybe a little bit faster, but obviously without that brute force that Bundy Aki brings. So we'll have to see if that's going to match up. Maybe they might actually match up a little bit better against the Springboks, because the Damien de Linda is also a really brutal hard carry ball runner himself there. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Coming number 14, Cheslin Kobe and Calvin Nash stays at number 14 jersey. Number 15 jersey, Willie LaRue and against Jamie Osborne for his second test. I thought Willie LaRue really didn't do much playmaking last week. I was expecting him to bring a bit more dynamic to the kicking game, as we saw from the Bulls. Did not do that. So maybe this instruction, obviously, the way Rassi wants to play the game is different from, he's trying to change the game all the time. Like the kicking game has been really clearly shifting away from what it used to be, against the British and Irish Lions, where they were just all kicking. So all of that has been really shifting away to more of a running style. And I thought maybe Willie LaRue, the way he kicks for territory, will be a tool that the Springboks wanted to deploy, but it wasn't used last week in that manner. And regardless, he's still one of the veterans, and his ability to move into the attack line to set something up as a playmaker is always incredibly dangerous. Jamie Osborne, I already mentioned, I think he debuted last week, right? And this will be his second game. He was under a lot of pressure with some of those high balls, but I think it's not really. Yeah, I think he probably passed the test last week. Coming to the bench now, Malcolm Marx, Gerhardine Kemp, number 17, and Vincent Koch, number 18, the bomb squad. Rob Herring, Ken Healy, and Finlay Bellum is on the bench. So Rob Herring is called up into the reserve position. A very good lineup here, and this will be, again, really comes down to how the bomb squad's going to defend the scrummaging. Vincent Koch coming off the bench, and Stine Kemp as well. It had a great season for the Bulls, and really good to see that both these guys just getting the scrum try together. Something that was, really, truly incredible job by them. So, again, Cian Healy was basically hardly used last week. He was on the field for, briefly, because Porter had a cut on his finger for about 10-15 minutes, and then he was taken off, and Porter finished the game. So, Cian Healy basically was, officially was, hardly used. And, Finlay Bellum as well, both of them will be just a bit of a struggle there for the Irish once again. Saman Morat coming number 19, Achias Neyman 20, and Marco van Staden coming number 21, Ryan Beard number 19, Peter Romani dropped out to the bench at number 20, and Colin Blade is the reserve halfback for the Irish, and coming number 22, Grant Williams is the South African. I'm pretty sure he's South African. A lot of you guys say, it's English name. No, he looks definitely South African to me. So I'm pretty sure it's Grant Williams. Grant Williams is number 22. And Sacha Feinberg Ngomezulu, he's actually English, right? There's no doubt Sacha is English. And so he is number 23. And interestingly, he didn't get much game time last week. I thought they were actually going to bring him on sooner, especially when Andre Pollard wasn't kicking so well. But the bench was a little bit. I do feel like when they bring on the bench, there was a bit of an inconsistency. So the Springboks let in a couple of tries, easy tries, because there was a bit of a bit of inconsistency in the defensive line. So that's something that they have to polish up, not let that happen again. Just immediately concede tries as your reserves come on. And that's something that, yeah, definitely needs to look into. Kieran Frowley comes to number 22, and Stuart McCloskey is called in to number 23 jersey for the Irish. Now, let me know your thoughts about the predictions. I think the Springboks will win this one again, especially because the fact that the injury at number 9 is starting to become a plaguing issue for Ireland. But I do think the change in the lock positions is going to be a bit of a mix-up there for the Irish side. So I think that the final score will be 21 points to 18 to the Springboks. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys this weekend for the reviews. Cheers.